All right, let's jump right in. A lot of today's show is going to be essentially getting ourselves caught up and framed in terms of the state of the Republican Party right now. And while some of you may think this has everything to do with Trump, it doesn't. It has some to do with Trump, and it has a lot to do with some of the developing factions in the Republican Party, but also just the fundamental kind of empirical problems that need to be solved before if and before the Republican Party would be able to participate in any meaningful political policy and scientific discussion. And this, I may be sort of not clear in what I'm talking about, but to begin with, let's start with part of the problem with scientific framing in the Republican Party. We have a new poll out now from Economist YouGov, which shows that Republicans trust on medical issues Donald Trump over Dr. Anthony Fauci, over the CDC, and maybe not surprisingly, over the Biden administration. That one maybe would be to be expected, but less indicative of a problem than is the lack of trust in Dr. Fauci and the CDC. The vast majority of Republicans surveyed say they trust Donald Trump on medical advice, despite the fact that he wondered about injecting bleach, disinfectants, etc. 66% of self-identified Republicans say they trust Trump a lot or somewhat for medical advice. Only 11% of Republicans trust Joe Biden. Now, that's less of an obvious problem to me in the sense that they're both politicians. Now, of course, you and I would look at that and say, well, but Joe Biden's positions are just repeating what doctors say, whereas Trump's have been arguing against doctors. No doubt about it. But it's less concerning then when you compare to Dr. Fauci and the CDC. You look at the CDC had the highest level of trust at 57% overall. Dr. Anthony Fauci had 48% trust overall. But when you look specifically at Republicans, Republicans trust Trump more than Fauci and also more than the CDC. So why do I care about this? It's not because I want to go and make fun of Trumpists who trust Trump over Dr. Fauci. I really don't care. Many of them believe lots of things that aren't true, and it doesn't really matter in terms of the political discourse or in making specific things happen. They just have different beliefs, and we just sort of write it off. Here, it has a very practical life and death implication. When you think back to the start of the pandemic and you look at the disastrous U.S. response, much of what we see today is as a result of that. When Donald Trump and Republicans, I don't know if pretended or lied or whatever, didn't know all along how serious this was, and the mask discussion where they were against masks, and the guidelines discussion where they were against guidelines, the open everything people. And then, of course, as we got into the vaccine era, if for a year you've been told this isn't really serious and you don't need to do anything, of course, you're going to be less likely to want a vaccine. Why would you need a vaccine for something you've been told for a year isn't serious anyway? And then the conspiracies, and then the Bill Gates RFID chip vaccinations, or whatever the case may be. This has very real world implications. And when you now look at the numbers and you look at, could there be more dramatically different vaccine situations than, for example, Mississippi and Massachusetts, to pick two states that start with the letter M? Widely reporting in Mississippi, tens of thousands of vaccination appointments that no one's showing up to. They are trying to figure out in Mississippi, what do we do? Because we have all these locations, we have all these appointments available, we have all this vaccine, and people aren't signing up. Compared to a state like Massachusetts, where 92% of the population says that they want the vaccine. Massachusetts reportedly 30 days away from herd immunity. Very different situation in Mississippi. While it's warm or warming, while we are seeing a decline of cases, okay, maybe you're not going to see dramatically different situations. When, if indeed this becomes seasonal and we start to see another uptick in the fall, you're going to see another two-tiered system from states with herd immunity and states that completely lack it. So when you see a poll and it says these Republicans trust Trump more than Fauci or the CDC, it is easy to just laugh it off and say, look at these stupid people, but it affects everybody. As we know, not everybody can get vaccinated. Children won't be able to get vaccinated for some time. We still don't know how long, hopefully 12 to 16 and 12 to 18 very soon. 8 to 12 is going to take longer, etc. This has a real world impact. And when you trust Trump over Fauci, it follows perfectly logically that Trump supporting Republicans would be the most anti-vaccine group in the United States at this point in time. How do you change this? I don't know. We have seen the anti-vax sentiment decline. The number of people who want the vaccine has gone up. One idea from a couple of weeks ago was maybe if there are more pastors and clergy that are saying get the vaccine as a religious duty, the vaccine, Pete Buttigieg saying over the weekend, God allowed the vaccine. The vaccine exists in the context of God. Imagine God, if the vaccine was really bad, God would have prevented it or something like that. Makes no sense to me based on my sensibilities. Maybe that would work in at least getting more religious Republicans to be interested in the vaccine. I don't know what the answer is, but the point is this has real world impact. We talk sometimes about flat Earth as a relatively benign conspiracy theory. You can make the case with flat Earth that often flat earthers believe lots of other stuff that is damaging. You've got a lot of overlap between flat earthers and other types of conspiracy theorists, anti-Semitic conspiracy theorists, one world government type stuff. By itself, flat Earth as a belief is not damaging in the same way that the false beliefs about the pandemic are. And we're seeing that translate in very real terms. These people trust Trump over Fauci, and they are one of the most anti-vaccine groups. How do we fix it? I don't know. What I do know, big picture, is that placating the anti-vax beliefs is not the way forward. And speaking of placating and negotiating with terrorists, we have to talk next about Joe Manchin. If you are anything like me, you probably aren't thrilled with the idea of going into a doctor's office right now. And thankfully, there's a practical and affordable way to take control of your health and get personalized care from the comfort of your home. It's a service called SteadyMD. They're one of our sponsors. You take a quiz, you get matched with a licensed primary care physician who understands your health needs. You have a 1-hour video call with your new doctor. You establish a meaningful relationship with them. And after that, your doctor is available to you anytime by text, phone, or video chat. This is not a random doctor on call. Each doctor at SteadyMD has a limited number of patients, so they actually have time to listen to you. You get the personal attention that you deserve. They can do almost everything an in-person doctor can do: perform medical evaluations, talk to you about health concerns, send prescriptions to your home or local pharmacy, and anything they can't do online, they'll quickly set you up with an in-person provider to do, things like blood tests as an example. You don't need insurance. It's only $99 a month with no other fees or copays. There are so many practical advantages to using SteadyMD for primary care, and it's also so much more affordable. Go to steadymd.com/Pakman to take the free quiz, see which doctor is right for you. I took their quiz. They matched me with a doctor who specializes in my particular health needs and situation. The doctor they gave me is a really perfect fit for me and my medical needs. There's no risk, no commitment to get started. Just click the link right underneath this video.